Hello YouTube, Sarge here. Today we're going to talk about following procedure. Now, depending on what kind of security company you work for, you're going to have SOPs or post orders or both. Now, those SOPs, they precisely write down what you are required to do. Your post orders pretty much do the same thing. But if you are a security, or if you're hired with a security company that's a firm that's got a contract, then the company that you're working for, the security firm, will have a set of SOPs that they require, and then your client company, the one that's contracting you out, will also have some instructions for you to do. So all in all, sometimes you'll have two procedure books that you have to learn and follow. As long as you follow those procedure books, you're fine. It's when you deviate from that, just a little bit to the left or the right, or whatever, you kind of enter a gray area, because in my experience, no two shifts are the same. Okay, so the person that's in charge of the company, meaning the one that contracted you out, the client, they most of the time, from shift to shift, will deviate from the post orders a little bit, one way or the other. Either they're more strict or they're more lenient. And working overtime on another shift would be kind of hard to because, like I said, from one shift to the next, you don't know exactly what they're going to enforce and what they don't. So my advice to you is just go ahead and follow the procedures the way they're written. That way, if there's an issue, you can just refer back to the policy and say, hey, look, it's written right here. This is what I'm doing. And they can't fault you for that. They can try, but that's a losing battle, because, it's their own writing that, hey, this is what we want you to do. If you're doing it, they can't, get on to you about it. Also, sometimes, like in, the case that I'm where I'm at, your post orders and your SOPs will contradict each other. Like, I have a situation where my post orders say I'm not allowed to drive more than 1 hour, whereas the SOPs tell me 2. So what do you do in that situation? Well, you kind of call your superior and have them hash it out with the client. 9 times out of 10, the client wins. So what we decided to do was, as long as we can get out of the truck for 10 minutes in between the hours, we're okay. I mean, it's not always possible, but you try. But like I said, SOPs pretty much tell you what you're required to do, and then the post orders is usually your company's requirements as well. They'll have your, like, grooming standards and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I personally, and here's the thing, what trumps the other? And this is a question I get a lot. If you got an SOP and a post order, which one overrides the other? And the answer to that is, it depends. because, like, if you got a state contract like I do, it's pretty, it's kind of close, you know, because, you know, state, these are state requirements. You know, you could really mess something up if you don't do what their SOPs state. The post orders is from a security firm that has no idea how a prison is ran. So in that case, I would go with the state. But if it's like let's say a chicken processing plant or something like that, and they want you to check temps on trucks, but your SOPs say you're not allowed to have any contact with trucks. Well, in that case, you need to call your supervisor and say, hey, look, you know, my SOPs state that I need to go check these temps. Am I allowed to do that? And if they say no, then they need to get with the client and get that, you know, fixed. It's not your job to argue with anybody. As a security guard, you are there to do what you are told to do. So if your supervisor tells you to follow the SOP, guess what? You follow that SOP. If he tells you to follow the post orders, you follow the post orders. But in all, the best way to get around not getting in trouble is to have everything in writing. If your supervisor tells you not to follow the SOPs and follow your company's post orders in a contradiction, then you need to have him write it. You know, you need to write it down in your notes, and, you know, date, time, and what he said. And that way, if there's some kind of court case or something like that comes out of it, you have your notes. Always remember to cover your butt. Note. Always write notes. Because notes will save your butt in this case. On the other hand, if your supervisor says follow the SOP, note it down, because ultimately your SOPs and your post orders, like I said, they are your bread and butter. You know, they're what you need to do your job and do it right. Now, another thing that is important is to fall back on your training. Now, some people have extensive training, others have none. You know, so that's a personal thing. And I mean, if you need more training, I advise you to go to a local college or something like that and get your training. Especially if, like, you've had prior experience with the company or the client. You know, you used to work there and then you became a security guard. That's a unique situation. That doesn't always happen, but it is an actual thing that does happen sometimes, and it's kind of a trump card. But for the most part, follow your SOPs and document any time that you're asked to deviate from them, because people get deja vu. As soon as the crap hits the fan, they don't remember telling you to do nothing, and that usually ends up with you having to prove that he said that. So it's a he say, she say situation, and you know, those usually end with you having a disciplinary. So always document if you're asked not to do the SOP or deviate from the SOP. You know, just remember that those SOPs are your guidelines, and they also your lifeline. So if you deviate from those, you are in danger of losing your job. Just remember that. All right, I jibber-jabbered for long enough. You guys have a great day, and be safe out there on the job.